Team Tanzania, I want to tell you why you need to win this competition. All right, so first I'm going to say jambo, which is hello in Swahili. So I'm going to say jambo rafiki, which is hello friend in Swahili. Those are the only 2 words in Swahili I know. So we're going to stop there. But I'm going to tell you really quickly, Team Tanzania, when I climbed Kilimanjaro in 1999, I talked to the guides one night around the campfire, and I asked the guides, how much money do you make? If you don't mind me asking. And the guide said to me, I make $15 a day plus tips. And I said, how much do the porters make? And the guide said, the porters make $1 a day. And I said, why is that? And the guide said, well, I speak English. I can communicate with you. If there's an emergency, if you have questions, you can speak to me. The porters, they have no education. They can't speak English. So they make 1/15 the salary. Team Tanzania, let's not have that divide. Let's make sure every single kid everywhere in Tanzania doesn't end up being an adult who can't get a good job because of the lottery of life. So Team Tanzania, I want you to take a run at this thing and win it for Tanzania. Team Sri Lanka. Team Sri Lanka. I want you to just remember very quickly that what Room 3 is doing in Sri Lanka is the peace dividend. Sri Lanka had one of the longest running civil wars in history, 30-year civil war. The Sri Lankan, the Tamil Tigers, the LTTE, the Liberation Tigers of Tamil Oman, invented the suicide bomber. That was not something you wanted to have invented in your country, but it's true. They went through 30 plus years of civil war, and I'll tell you that when they finally waved the white flag and the Tamil Tigers declared a ceasefire, declared the end of the civil war, I was landing in Hong Kong airport that afternoon. And I sent an email to our country director, Glenn, and I said, Glenn, all those communities, and again, keep in mind, this was actually a Muslim versus Buddhist war, which you don't want to have religion wars, but it was. And I emailed Glenn, and I said, Glenn, we have to be part of the peace dividend. We have to think big about this. Every one of those communities that's been at war, that's now at peace, what are the parents going to want? They're going to want to see progress. What does progress look like to a parent? It looks like their child going to school and having teachers and infrastructure and books. And I'm proud to say that since we went big in Sri Lanka, I'm proud to say that today over 1 million students in Sri Lanka alone now have access to Room to Read programs. But we need to do more. So Team Sri Lanka, you gotta win, and if you win, I'll buy you a really good curry, because Sri Lanka has the best curries. And then finally, Team Vietnam. Vietnam is a country that we all know. A lot of damage was done there in the 60s and 70s. It's had a hard time rebuilding. It's a very hopeful time for Vietnam, but the majority of the population there is young. And I'll close with a very quick story of being in Vietnam in 2008 for the opening of a new Room to Read library. And it was a beautiful day in the Mekong Delta, you know, water everywhere, green grass, blue skies, sunshine. It was perfect. And they were cutting the red ribbon on this new library that was opening, and they're going to have 1,400 students in this school have access to their first library, so I felt great. And after the red ribbon was cut, I was walking around taking photos, and a student came up to me and said, "Excuse me, Mr. John Wood." And I just looked over, and there's this eager young 9-year-old boy, and I said, "Yes," and he said, "Mr. John Wood, I wish to introduce myself." And he stuck his hand out, and I thought he was going to sell me an insurance policy. He was like, really moving in very, very quickly on this. And he said, "Mr. John Wood, I wish to thank you for our school's library. This is a very important day for our village. I'm very happy to have access to this library. In fact," he said, "I've already been in the library, and I've already identified my favorite books." And I said to him, "How have you been in the library? The library, the red ribbon just caught like 1 nanosecond ago. What exactly, how are you in the library?" And he pointed to a window. And he said, well, last night I got a coat hanger, and I moved the window thing, and I opened the window, and I went in with a flashlight." And he said, "Mr. John Wood, I read 9 books last night." And he was so proud. And I think that's what really makes me motivated. I'm 17 years into doing this full time, 7/24, 365. But it's kids like that that motivate me, because they so want to read, and they're so excited. They will break into a library the night before it's open. And if that is breaking the law, then break the damn law, children. We're too slow. We need to get the library open soon enough. So Team Vietnam, 9 books last night, 10 books tomorrow. Please, everybody, please fill your passport with stamps. You may ask yourself, if I fill my passport with stamps, can I fill up a second country's passport? Yes, the answer is yes, you can do that. But please, there is a silent auction, there is a live auction, there, of course, is the opportunity to stamp your passport and support our work. And in closing, I just want to say very quickly, a special announcement. As I walk in here tonight, there's a couple here who wish to be anonymous, but they are willing, because they step up for Room to Read every year, they've laid out a challenge. They will match every dollar you give to Room to Read tonight. Dollar for dollar. Up to $75,000. So if you give, you are matched. So please don't be shy. Don't be shy at all. Let's make this the biggest in Vino that Room's ever had. Thank you, Dallas Fort Worth. Thank you for coming. And please do stamp your passport.